All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. So today is 16th of April, and it's the third or fourth day of this competition, fourth day. And we have been making some good progress. So I think last time when I left the stream, we were at 183. So we have been making some progress since then. Let's go through. So I think 183 is about this new encoding of the states, right? So we have completely revamped how we encode the state. So now we have a much more sophisticated auto architecture, although not as sophisticated as others, but it's pretty sophisticated, right? So you have width, height, and depth. So the width and height is the board size, and the depth is the number of information or the channels. And then we have about 12 channels. So in each cell we encode the player information in the cell, enemy information in the cell, and some global information. So this is what we encode. And then I did quite a lot of ways to encode the values. So I think initially I encoded it using log2, which is what I have been using. But I feel like log2 is a little bit too small with respect to the larger values. And so I switched to actually using a exponential encoding, right? You can see here in 185, I actually switched it to using a different encoding method, which is actually here. So, instead of encoding it with log and also like 0.5, 0.7 exponential, I encoded with 0.4 exponential, right? So I raised it to the power of 0.4 for all these things, and it's actually on the scale of core, right? So for core, I just raised it to 0.4. For ship, I just multiply by the ship multiplier, which is gonna convert it to on the same scale as core, so that's will be times 10. So everything is like kind of uniform. For shipyard, it's just times 500. And then I raise it to the same scale so that everything is kind of even in terms of their actual value. So for example, one shipyard is gonna be 500 value, one ship is gonna be 10 value, and one core just gonna be one core, one value. So it's kind of equalized. So that's 185, right? So I switched to encoding using exponential 0.4, and then that actually worked. So that went pretty well. I removed that, but that also worked. And then I added a small bonus for a early, like a win. Like if we finish the game before 400 turn, I gave it a 1.5 times multiplier, and if we finish on turn 400 by the core count, then I gave it a 1.1 multiplier. So that turned out to be pretty well. So that's this one, the 186. So it's starting to win games, and it's like on par with the minor agent that was given, right? So it's not so good per se. It didn't even beat our previous one, right? So our previous one, which is 167, before we switched to encoding, was actually doing better. So you can see the result is 0.5, means we're winning more games compared to the minor agent. For 0 means that we're winning half equal. So it's actually not that good. But I decided to switch to this encoding anyway because I think it's more powerful. So I just stick to 186. And then I did some more experimentation because the graph looks kind of up and down. So I thought maybe so you can see here the graph is going up and going down. So I thought maybe the alpha is too big. So I lowered the learning rate alpha to 0.40 and 1, but it didn't help. So instead I added some convolution, and that did help, which is 188. You can see here 188 it's slightly better than 186, and especially the reward is much higher. Right, so this means it's basically better. So after 188, I added another change, which previously we were beginning training immediately after we have about 10 times the batch size. But I think that was probably oversampling at the start, so I decided to only start training after the replay memory is full, which is the default behavior. So I reverted back to the default behavior instead of using my hack to start training as early as possible. I think that didn't really have much effect except for making the graph a lot smoother. So you can see here 189 after I start training later, it kind of smooths out the graph a little bit. So it's not so sharp. I think this might help it. I'm not too sure, but I think it's a good thing to do because I don't want to have some random unexpected behaviors because I oversample at start. So I think I will stick to 189. Which brings us to today, right? So that was yesterday. Today I'm also doing some experiments like to actually properly normalize our values. So previously I think in 186, 189, rather 189. So I still using the log, raise it to the power of 0.4. But then I was looking at the forum. So somebody linked the last AI winning posts. So I read them, and it seems like all of them are doing something that I'm not doing. So all of them are actually mapping the input into 0 to 1. So like they're mapping the input from something to 0 to 1. So I think to normalize from whatever to 0 to 1. So on this guy as well, so you can see here the range is -1, -1 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 2, stuff like that. So I think yeah, instead of using the exponential, I should use just map whatever range to 0 to 1, right? So I think that's a better idea. So that's what I did. Experimented a little bit, and I wrote this scale number. So it's gonna map the our number from a domain to an output, and we actually have a min and max to sort of click the value if it go out of bound. Right. So I think this is what I did, and I also wrote some tests. So you can see here, if we're like mapping, so the default output is gonna be 0 to 1. Right? So if I'm mapping 5,000 from a domain of 0 to 10,000, then it's gonna give us 0.5. And if it's slightly over, it's gonna give us some value of 1. And if it's much higher than 2, then it's gonna click 2. Right? So it's gonna give us a value from -2 to 2. So this is the negative case where it's just gonna go from -1 to 1. So I think this is closer to what the other people were doing in previous contests. I think this might be a better idea. So I tried this, and after a few failed attempts, I think I managed to get to here now, which is 194. Give it a little bit of penalty, because I think once I scale it to 0 to 1, then the penalty was not enough, I think. So the penalty of 0 is not enough, so I have to change it to -0.5. I also have to rescale all the reward as well. So my reward now is just these three core, ship, and shipyard count. And each one of them is using the same scaling function as the state. So I'm quite lazy here. I just use the same scaling function. So they will also be using a mapping from whatever range to 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. So for core, it's capped at 10,000. So let's say if you have 10,000 core, you're gonna map it to 1. If you have 0, you're gonna map to 0. And if you have 2,000, 20,000, it's gonna map to 2. If you have above 20,000, it's gonna map to 2 as well because it's capped at 2. Right? So I do the same for ship and shipyard, but the unit value is uniform to the core. So you kind of count the ship and count the shipyard in terms of core. So they are all on the same footing. So do the scaling for the turn number. So this one is just 0 to 400 map to 0 to 1. This is for the future, not yet. So that's the 194, which is what we're looking at right now. So I've been running this for like 5 hours, close to 6 hours. So here's the result. You can see it's doing slightly better than 189. Doing better. It's progressing slower. I think that's because of the scaling. That it's slower. But I think I like this graph more than the previous graphs, even though the previous graphs go up very quickly. I like this more. Just because it resembles a good progress. It's kind of linear, right? It's very linear, so it's kind of very nice, very smooth. I like that a lot compared to this kind of just exponential and then flat line. I think I like this more. It looks better. It looks more natural, and the values are very small. If you compare to the previous values, it's like kind of very small. The previous ones is like 15 or even like higher, like 40 like Q. And this one is very small because I kept everything to like 0 to 1, 0 to 2. So everything is like 0 0.5, 1, 1.5. Then loss is also very small, 0 0.13 now. So everything is super small, and I think it's easier to read, easier to reason about. And then I think the turn number is still going up. So I think this might continue to improve, even though it has dipped a little. I think this is the dip is caused by the epsilon policy being less of an effect. So I think once the randomness go down, it's actually reducing the power. Reducing the performance because I think the model still depends on some kind of random behavior to, for example, attack or build shipyards. Right? So I think once the randomness goes down, it will suffer a decrease in performance, but I think it will eventually go up once it eventually figure out. Right? It will eventually figure out what's the correct time instead of relying on the randomness. So I think it's gonna eventually go up to at least which is about 0.16. Not very high, but something good. Yeah, so that's where we are right now. Also, another thing I think is actually want to check on this channel because I think I was quite surprised that someone posted our channel to the competition like this one. I think this guy posted about our channel and we got a few subscribers, which is nice. So I think now we have 9 subscribers. If you are a subscriber, then thank you for subscribing, I guess. But we have very few likes and 0 comments. So if you would drop a like or a comment, that would be very nice. I think that will help the YouTube reinforcement learning algorithm to reinforce that you actually like my content, right? I mean, that's basically what we're doing now, designing a reward function. So we can do the same for YouTube, right? I guess. Yeah, so let's see what else we can do here. So obviously it's plateaued after it reached this 0.16. I have a few ideas here on how I can, improve. So these are some of the ideas. I've kind of already categorized them in different categories. But I'm not sure which one is gonna, actually give me a increased performance. So I'm gonna take a slightly different approach. Instead of trying them one by one, I'm actually gonna take a look at the logs and see, if we can decipher something from the logs on where the model is doing something wrong, and then like try to spot the problem and then tackle them accordingly. Right? So that's what I'm gonna do. So let's take a look at the logs. It's gonna be a very long log. It's 900K lines. It's very long. So we're just gonna go to the bottom. Right? Start looking at some of these. So currently the epsilon is at 0.08, which gave us 8% chance of random movement. That's actually very low. So I'm surprised it's able to keep up at this wave rate. You can see beginning building ships, which is perfectly fine. And then after that, it's starting to mine and build ship. And then mine again, correct. Mine alternating between mine and build ship, which is 100% correct. So now here there's a no op because I guess it cannot do anything. Right? So yeah, I think it's doing the right thing. Although here it could have mine instead of no. I guess this is a random movement. No big deal. Here you build ship, then mine, build ship, mine. So here you cannot mine anymore. I guess that's normal. So everything here looks fine. Some last resort here, which is a bit weird. Yeah, that's definitely weird. Hopefully it learns we shouldn't do that. Should just continue to mine. Alright, so after mining you get more ships and you have more last resort, which is actually not that good. I guess it's fine if you have very little ship to use this. It's actually fine. Now it's just alternating, and then now there's a attack coming in. I think you're supposed to attack this early, right? It's kind of doing things a little bit weird. Yeah, but this one doesn't really matter because there's nothing you can do here. Right? It doesn't really matter what it does. Now there's more build ship, which is correct. After build ship, continue to mine, which is correct. So kind of trying to build more ships, which is okay. Here is a little bit of problem I can see. Building too many ships, and instead of like all the ships are still inside, right? So I think you should try to send out some ships to mine instead around here. I think mining is taking over here, but I think it should have taken over slightly earlier. But anyway, I think it's not a big problem. And then mine build ship, correct. Mine build ship, okay, looks fine. Looks fine. But it hasn't built a shipyard yet, so I think the problem is still it doesn't know how to build shipyard. And the shipyard is action 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. If you look at the shipyard Q value, it's still lower than both of these mine and build ship, right? So it's kind of low. Yeah. It's slightly lower than those two. Let me see if there's a case where it's really, really close. Not really. It's still like at least 0.2 below. This one is 0.1. This one is okay. So this one is actually pretty close, and it just happened to, randomly pick this. Actually, this one was supposed to be mine, but it randomly picked the build shipyard. So I guess it's still kind of depending on the randomness, right? So we now managed to build 2 shipyards, which is gonna help us a little bit, I guess. Now the cycle continues. Actually, here you should build more shipyards. Definitely, but here somehow we got a new shipyard. I guess our mining ship just happened to capture a enemy shipyard, which is pretty lucky. Actually captured 2, which is super lucky. I guess we were very lucky here to capture 2 just by like mining. And then I mean it's no surprise that we lost here. So we're still trying to mine. I think we should prioritize building ships right here. We have enough coal. But then again, I don't know how much ship the enemy has. Trying to, desperately trying to build ship, but I think it's too late. I think around here definitely should continue to build ship instead of mining. And there's a no op here, which is kind of screwing things up a little bit as well. Yeah, I think this one we didn't win. Actually, this one we won. Okay, that's surprising. We actually won that. That's interesting because it jumped from 0.3 to 0.8, which means it got 0.5 additional reward that we gave to it. So if we look at, sorry, we give a 0.5 reward if it won at turn 400 and 1 if it won early. So this one, it jumped from 0.3 to 0.8, means it has actually won the game. This is a weird game. I think definitely the shipyard part still needs to learn a bit. Let's look at this one. I think this one was pretty lucky. Right? 1, 2, 3. It's not supposed to do this, but it just happened to do it, so it's kind of up a little bit. Actually, I think I read from the other person's post that you're supposed to build shipyard when you have too much core. I think that makes sense because the primary function of shipyard is to help you build more ship, right? So if you're not like you're not at capacity to build ship, then you shouldn't really build shipyard because you only need shipyard when you need to build more ship. I feel like that's a better heuristic on when to build a shipyard instead of how many ships do you have. So I guess it's okay that it's not trying to build shipyard here because it doesn't have enough core, to take advantage of that. Right. But then again, having more shipyard actually allow you to send out more ships to mine. I guess that's also a benefit. It's kind of two sides. So here, I guess it's got lucky. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, definitely got lucky here. It doesn't have the correct number to build shipyard yet. This one is pretty close. Guys, it's pretty close to learning about when to build shipyard already. It's just not 100% yet. This one is also pretty close. It's 1.7. It's at 1.8. I'm not too sure whether it's a good time to build shipyard here because you only have 24 cores. So even if you build a new shipyard, you're not gonna take advantage of that. So I think it's actually correct. You shouldn't be building more here. So here just building ship, which is correct, which is 100% correct. It's a little bit of mining and more building ships. Oh, there's 2 attacks here. Let's take a look at this. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. It's just the last one. It's pretty close to becoming the top. Oh, but it's behind all these 3. So definitely got lucky here. In this case, same. It's still lower than mining, building ship, and building shipyard. So it's not trying to attack, which is probably the smart. I don't think you should try to attack here. And I don't think this is enough ship to begin the assault. So here it's continuing this loop of mining and building more ships, which is correct. Here it's trying to build shipyard. Okay, interesting. I guess this is actually it's driven by the Q value to build shipyard. Let's take a look. So we have a lot of core, which might indeed mean that we need more shipyards, right? We have a lot of ships and quite a lot of ships inside. So I think this is actually a good move. Actually, it's already learned a good timing to build shipyard, right? So this is a good timing to build shipyard. Of course, I don't know what the enemy is doing, but just looking at the number of core and number of ships we have, I think this is a good moment to build. I think same thing here, but you shouldn't try to build too many too soon. Anyway, it's almost close to the end of the game, so maybe not a very, very good idea, but still it's pretty good. Right, so actually it's doing pretty well so far. Let's find the one that we actually lost. Oh, so this one we actually lost, but we did have a lot of ships. So I guess this one, the problem is we didn't eliminate the enemy fast. Because we were trying to go for the elimination route. It's trying to build as many ships as possible. So yeah, so this tells us, when you have enough ships like here, you should actually try to attack. So here the attack is not ranked. So actually here you should actually attack so that it gives you more advantage, but you're not attacking because actually attacking doesn't give you increased rewards, right? Actually, that's the problem I'm trying to solve here. I mean, that's one of the problems I see. So attacking is not really incentivized because you don't get more reward by attacking. You only like protect your existing reward and potentially get a shipyard if you're lucky. But other than that, you basically are losing rewards, right? So one thing I wanted to change that behavior is to give a reward for the ship count difference, which is what I have already been writing here. If you notice, I have a skill ship count difference for input, which is just gonna scale the difference between our ship count and the ship count. And actually it's this thing, right? So if the enemy has more ships, then we're gonna get a -1. If we have more ships, then we're gonna get 1. I think I want to include this both into the state and also into the reward function so that we can sort of try to encourage it to attack. I think that's one problem. Let's take another one, take a look at another one where we lost. I think this one we definitely lost. So this one, again, we're not seeing the opportunity to attack. So that's the problem you can see. We're not attacking when we should be. So yeah. And then for attack, we can only attack with 100 ships. I feel like that's a little bit too much. Maybe I want to drop that. So definitely, by pigeonhole principle, we have at least one shipyard that has 100 ships. Right? That's the pigeonhole principle. So we should be able to attack right about here. But as you can see, the attack Q value is not very high, which is the last one. It's only 3.0. Or maybe around here is 3.3. It's very low. So we definitely need to incentivize it to attack. I feel like that's probably a good reason why we're not winning a lot of games. Right. Yeah. Okay, let's do it let's actually do it. So this one it's going a little bit down, so I'm not gonna continue training this. I think it's just gonna get worse and worse. So I think it doesn't really matter. Gonna stop training. It's been doing pretty well, but I think I'm done with this one. So 194. I think I'm gonna actually tag it as a baseline because it's so far the best that we have for the new encoding. Okay, this is gonna be a lot of effort to go into that folder. Let's go here. MB means new encoding baseline. This is gonna be our new baseline, 194. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I think I'm supposed to wait for it to render. And then after it renders, I can just untick and tick whatever, then they will display nicely over each other. I think that's something I found out. What is happening here? Why is there two? Okay, definitely something bugged out there. Yeah, this is the current. I thought I lost 8 times. It's really scary. Okay. Okay, so turn number is still going up. That means actually, we're being too conservative. It's probably not because of the attack that we're not seizing the opportunity to attack. That's why we lost so many. So I have a good feeling that by encoding this attack thingy, we're able to improve its performance, right? So this is the thing that I'm gonna do next. So that's gonna be 195. I'm going to try to do this. So I guess it's two things. First, I need to encode it into the state, which is probably quite simple. All the heavy lift things are inside this function. So I'm gonna increase my vector count to 13. And then we're gonna have a ship count. I don't know, ratio, is that a correct word? Or diff, ship count diff. It's scaled. So the ship count diff is gonna be 30. And now we're gonna encode using this thing. Player core, enemy core. Okay. So that's not enough information. Ship count diff. Okay, we should probably pass in a ship count diff, not this. Ship count diff. I feel like it's time to write a helper function to get the ship count diff. Yeah, let's write a helper function instead. I think I don't want to write it in the board because it's a little bit weird to write it in the board. I'm just gonna write it somewhere here. Oh, it's not a state util, it's a common util. Function. Oh wait, I could just okay. I think let's separate them out. Get ship count if okay, that's the wrong move. Player should also for player dot total ship count. Yeah, that's the total ship count. We already calculated this. Yeah, we had calculated this. Let's check on for ID is not equal to current ID. Check out. Pass. Okay, so this is correct. Current player should count minus action. Okay, so it's correct. Alright, so we have this. Then we can just get. Okay, so this one doesn't have board. I feel like maybe we should pass in the board here. Let's see. We should probably pass in the board here instead of doing this randomly. It's okay to depend on the board here. And I'm gonna also get the turn count. Here, enemy core count. Wait. Enemy score. Okay, so now this is coded. Here we don't need to pass in so many. Oh, skill turn. Oh wait, was I doing double encoding previously? Maybe I was. Okay, I wasn't doing double encoding. Skill. Skill. Says skill. Ship count. Differential. Why is it differential? What the hell is differential? Skip. Okay, so skill turn, skip ship. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Here the same, just passing the board. State. I think it's state, right? Yeah, it's state. So I don't need this anymore. Oh wait, I need this one. And I don't need. Okay, I already removed that. Okay. Okay, okay. So that's the state input encoded. Do we need to have a debug? I think it's probably wise to have a debug just to make sure we're not screwing things up. So let's have a debug run first. On the reward side, we also have to change it. So we're gonna have a new thing here. Ship D. Ship. Should it be current board or previous board? I think it's current board. Yeah, it should be current board. Okay, so I have the ship on deep reward. We can put this here. Ship deep. I think another improvement we can make is the action value. We probably need to two decimals. Yeah, looking at this, we probably need two decimals. Also, the reward, I think we need two decimals. One is not enough. Two decimals. Okay. So the ship counts deep reward. It's gonna go into the final reward. Oh wait, then there's a problem, right? The ship count deep reward. It's gonna make this slightly bigger. Okay, anyway, this is scaled already, so it's gonna take into account of that. Hopefully. And if we lose, I think it's okay. If we lose, then I'm not too sure. We'll think about the lose later. So maybe we need to tune the lose. Just lose reward according to ship. I guess that's something we can take a look at later, but I think for now we're just gonna add it directly here. I think that's gonna make things very interesting. Yeah. So this one is gonna be a debug run 195 just to make sure that we're encoding the correct thing and all the logging are working correctly. So let's run this. Okay, let's see how well it does. Okay, so the ship deep. I didn't do the two. My bad. Okay, let's fix that now. Here, okay, two. Okay, fixed. Let's see if the numbers are making sense. So -1 here. Oh, everything is minus 0.1. -1. -1. Okay. Okay, still minus. Okay. It's about right. Maybe here. Okay, so we're still like kind of lagging behind. Let's stop here and take a look at the logs. Mm, I think it's 12, right? Yeah, I think it's 12. Yeah, this is 12. So let me look at the 12. Yeah, we can't actually paginate this, so it just I'm gonna have to bear with this 12. Okay, so it's capped at 1. And this is the new one. It looks about right. I mean, we're not at any point better than the enemy, so I guess that's why it's always negative. Yeah, it looks about right. So I don't see any issues with the encoding, so we can turn off the debugging and delete all this random stuff. Okay, it's taking a while to delete them. Now it's getting very big. Okay, so we fixed the war already. Oh, okay, so the problem is if we assign a -1, then it's gonna make losing penalty too little. So we kind of have to adjust the lose penalty. Right. So we need to adjust the lose penalty here. Okay, so maybe let's have a unified one so that we don't encourage it to like just last until 400 turns and then just die and just lose the game. So I think that's probably not a good idea. Let's just make it uniformly -2. So it's gonna be lower than it's gonna be lower than the shift count thing. Yeah, I think -2 is fine. So this just losing -2. Losing reward uniform -2. Okay, so that's gonna be 196. I think this is gonna be the run where we do really well. Hopefully this run is the run that we're gonna completely outperform our previous baselines, somehow winning against this bot. Hopefully against the minor bot. Let me take a quick look at the model architecture. 19 parameters, 4 million parameters. 10 stands flat. Okay, looking right. Yeah, so now for the first 10,000 iterations, it's not gonna train, it's just gonna fill up the replay memory. So this means it's gonna take a while for it to fill up the replay memory. I think looking at this looks correct. That looks about right. So now our log looks very pretty. So we have all the information, even have our competitive analysis against our enemy. So we know, whether we're like losing or winning, kind of. So it's very helpful. All right, let's just wait for the 10K thing. While doing that, we can do something else. Or like we're looking at this graph to figure out which one we use, but I guess in the end we just decided to use the division and scaling, translating looking at the past year, I mean the previous competition is pretty interesting. So this guy used PPO. I think PPO is just a newer version of reinforcement learning compared to our DQN, and it's on policy. I think it's on policy. Yeah, it's on policy. We got rid of the batch normalization, and it's not good for on policy. Okay, so this guy, so this is saying, PPO is quite easy to implement. Okay, it has on policy or algorithm, which is often better asymptotic performance at the cost of sample efficiency. I'm not too sure. If we knew how slow the environment was going to sample, we would have gone for an off-policy algorithm. Recode the game engine on GPU. Even after 4 days of full training, we never reached any plateau in the agent's performance. Oh wow. Interesting. Okay. So this guy used PBO, which is different, but I guess we can take a look at how they encode, right? So this is basically kind of what I'm trying to do here. So that just uniform everything into 0, 1, and -1. One plus 0.1 for every other units. Oh, so this one is actually a 1 plus 0.1 times x. I guess if it's 0, then it's okay. I see. So it's not a linear scaling. It's okay. So maybe we should try to learn about this. Okay, so it's like 0, 1, and then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Right. So I think this is a good, interesting way to code. So I definitely need to try that. So in coding, we might need some non-linear. Like I'd say this is kind of like a slightly non-linear way of coding. It's 0, 1, and linear. Yeah, we should try this method sometime. I think it's useful for those cases where I need a very different behavior for 0, and then a different behavior for if it's not 0, but still different for different values. Okay, so I also have some booleans. Maybe you can also have some booleans on whether we can build shipyard and stuff like that. More booleans can build. It's gonna help the agent learn, can build shipyard, can attack, stuff like that. So definitely we can do those things. All right, I think it's time to look at our training process. And we just lost the game. Okay. Okay, it's still like negative, which is interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were like pretty much negative, and we were never ahead in terms of. Yeah, negative again. God, it's all the way just like negative. Yeah, we're like even here and then just going into negative. Okay. It's interesting to see this ship count comparison because I've never actually added this, but I think it's pretty useful. Like here we're actually leading, right? But then we kind of lost it. So that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at our. Okay, so it's pretty much still negative. I feel like maybe -1 is too harsh of a reward. Maybe -1 reward is a little bit too harsh. Should be 0.5 or something like that. But I don't know. I think maybe it'll work out later. It's too early to tell whether it's the correct move. I think it's learning that it should be learning to value like ship count more because of this new thing. But looks like it's still not learning enough. And by here it should have learned something. Oh, when you attack, it's actually making things worse. Oh, I see. Because when you attack, oh, I see, I see. Because when you attack, you lose ship, and you don't. The enemy don't actually lose ship, right? They lose shipyard. So kind of tilting the balance in the opposite direction. Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting problem to have. I guess I should have compared the ship plus shipyard or something like that. Right. I think that's a better heuristic than ship just for ship count. Let me think about this. So if you attack, you lose ships for sure. Enemy might lose ship, also might lose shipyard. But if you gain shipyard, you also gain a little bit of reward. So maybe we just need to tune it a little bit down. Tune it down a little bit. Be like -0.5 to 0.5. So like this one. And so far not being able to win any games, which is pretty bad. Supposed to start winning some games. Okay, it's won some games, but not completely bad. Let's give it a few more turns, a few more episodes. This one looks a little bit promising, but still we lost. Oh, look at this. We actually, even though we have 800 ships, we're still actually nowhere close to the enemy. Oh, this one we're actually ahead by a lot. You can see here we have much more ships than the enemy. I think once you reach like 1, it's very hard to go back. Cementing your advantage or disadvantage. Right. So it's kind of interesting. Hopefully it's learning those moves. Yeah, I think this 1 to -1 to 1 is a little bit too harsh. It's a little bit too harsh for it to learn. It's still pretty much in a negative space now. Everything is still negative. Q is still negative. But it's going up though. It's going up. Let's remove this thing. So, okay, it's going up. So maybe it's gonna learn soon. Okay, interesting. Yeah, let's. I think it's way too early. So let's maybe give it like 10 more minutes, something like that. Mhm. Okay, this one looks interesting. Yeah, I feel like this is probably we're doing the right along the right direction, but the scaling is not correct. So it's like too harsh for it to learn anything. It's always it's the all the rewards are negative. It's going up though. It's going up. So it's not all hopes are gone. We still have some hope to salvage this. Not very positive here. Hmm. Maybe you could have tried just encoding the thing into the state instead of the reward. Maybe that's helpful. I don't know. You can apply a factor of 0.1 in terms of the reward so that it's not too harsh, I guess. Something like that. Yeah, it's not going very well, but our Q is still going up. Still going up linearly. So maybe still need to more wait for more episodes. Because if Q is still going up, that means we're still learning new reward, more reward. Okay, it's kind of taking a long time to do all this calculation. Yes. Okay, so this one we actually won. Despite having a negative shift reward. Negative shift difference reward. But I really want to win by elimination, not by core count. This is still winning by a core count. Okay, it's starting to win some games. Starting to win more games. Oh, by the way, we have a new training progress, a training progress screen. I'm gonna try like maybe about now. So let's see how this new screen looks like. Okay, I think that works pretty well. So that's gonna be our new screen for training. So hopefully that's gonna make the transition slightly easier. Yeah, this is not really working out, I think. This is not. It's the Q value is already starting to flatline. It's too harsh, I think. It's a little bit too harsh to whatever we're doing here. Yeah, yeah, the value is already like going downwards. Okay, so let's stop this. I think that's enough experiment. So maybe we need to do this a little bit. So we need a ship count diff reward, which is gonna be maybe 0.1. Multiply this outside. Multiply this outside. Yeah, this already still. Actually, all this should be outside, but there are one. So this one is gonna make the reward dramatically lower. So hopefully that's gonna help things a little bit. 1.7. Yeah, so now it's less punishing. Yes, we should also try to optimize this simulation because it's becoming quite slow. Oh wait, our plan is not working. Oh, okay. So maybe I need to do something to this. Let me check. Okay, GPU, CPU is already 90. My CPU is at 90. That's crazy. Uh, Performance score. Wait, what is this? This is the performance efficiency core. Performance score at 90 already. That's quite high, right? I think I don't like it to be that. Oh, wait, I cannot reduce this. Oh, okay, now I can reduce this. I don't like it to be that high. Okay, so now I can hear the fan, but because I have noise cancellation, so it won't be audible on the screen. Maybe it is. Maybe a little bit. Okay, now it's stopped. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it was throttling a little bit. I think it was throttling a little bit already. It's not supposed to be this slow. Or maybe I did something that caused it to compute a lot. maybe the ship count is actually computationally intensive. And so maybe I'm gonna need to optimize how we count the ships. Like we can memorize the ship count. But I don't know where the bottleneck is. You have to try to do some profiling. Yes. But now I think it's about half. It's taking quite long to train and also quite long to do simulation. Maybe this one we actually lost. Okay. Okay, let's see how well this one does. Now it's starting to train. It should quite quickly get above 0. Okay, so this one is interesting. So it got the bonus. Okay, so we won the king. Interesting. And this one we had disadvantage. The same with that disadvantage. Oh my god, this one we got eliminated very quickly. Maybe it's not, we shouldn't include this thing into the reward, we should just include it into the state. But like including into the reward might be extra. Like doesn't really help with the reward function. But it's just 0.1, so it shouldn't matter that in the grand scheme of things. Even if it's like not useful. Okay, so this one is interesting. So we got quite a lot of reward. Mm. It's kind of looking similar to how it used to be. Wait, one, even though we have less shift. Interesting. So we're like kind of winning, even though we don't have enough shift. And it's not having the effect that I wanted to have. So it does cause this to drop from 1.5 to 1.4 to 1.3. But it's actually double counting against the ship count as well. Yeah, it's kind of having the same effect as ship. It's have some overlap between them. When you lose ship, you kind of lose both the ship count reward and the ship diff reward. Yeah, now we can see very clearly how we're losing them because we have 500 less ship than the enemy. So it's kind of obvious why we're losing. This one is we had we had an advantage, but we lost it somehow. That's interesting. So we had an advantage, but somehow we lost it. Okay, I guess this we're not doing anything. Yeah, this actions are not doing anything. That's why we lost. Definitely not supposed to do that. So far, the graphs are looking okay-ish. We're not too far behind our previous, kind of catching up. We're kind of following the previous line for 194. So this one we actually won. Interesting. So it's winning by the torque count, which is like okay, but I want this kind of win instead. This is gonna give a much higher reward. It's 4. It's a much, much higher reward. So I want to encourage this, not this kind of things. Not this kind of things. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to log is the invalid actions. So basically as we progress, the number of invalid actions that we perform should drop. So that's something else I want to log and check against if it's doing the correct thing. If it's learning to avoid the invalid actions. Okay, I think I will let this continue because so far it's looking okay, not too long. Right, it's looking okay. It's kind of like climbing upstairs again, but yeah, so far the graphs are looking okay. Pretty normal graph. So I'm gonna leave it, continue training for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll come back to try see if it's worth continuing or we should adjust some other things, right? All right. So I'll leave this training mode and come back short while. Hello, 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 we're back. Yeah, I think put the microphone in the wrong place. Let me fix that. Hello. Yeah, I just realized I think I forgot to put the microphone in the right place. So now it's in the proper place. Maybe you were not able to hear me before. Now it should be better. All right. Let's take a look at the performance compared to our previous one. Okay, it's following pretty closely, I would say. So, but yeah, looking very smooth, actually more smooth than the previous one, right? It's much more smooth than the previous one. And it's a little bit higher right now in terms of the result. So that's a good sign. We can take a look at the logs as well. Let's take a look at the recent logs, maybe 2-1 something. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, so it's starting with build ship, which is correct. And then it's like trying to attack. Okay, it's not trying to attack. Okay, good. So here it's supposed to be mining, right? I think. Oh, but they choose to do this instead, which is wrong. It's doing all sorts of random stuff, but not mining. I think here it should definitely be mining, right? So it's like kind of wasted a lot of steps here. It's not even learn how to mine it, which is a little bit surprising, I guess. So finally it started to mine here, so it got some reward. Again here. Yeah, I would say it's not learned how to mine properly yet. Here it's better. I guess it's just when you have very small ship count, it's not able to learn yet. Look at this. Yeah, like around here is not really doing the right thing. I guess here it's pretty close. So hopefully after it learned this one, it's able to figure out that it should learn, it should mine instead of doing the other thing. It could be that the ship encoding needs to be better, right? So I guess the ship encoding could have like differentiated them more clearly. When you can mine and when you cannot mine and stuff like that. Yeah, it could have been done better, I guess. Interesting. So we might need to have special encoding for like ship count, right? Or maybe even attack ship count. And shipyard, build shipyard. I think this special encoding should actually be there. Otherwise, it's really hard to figure out when you can like mine stuff like that. Yeah. So I think that's something I learned by looking at this log. But eventually, I think because it's a continuous value, it's supposed to figure out eventually anyway. So I'm not too worried about it actually. Even though it's a problem, it's not a big problem. Okay, this one is doing well. We're actually leading by ship count, so I guess it's no surprise that we won this one. Yeah, this is a lot of wasted time, not anyhow to mine. So a lot of time is wasted here. Yeah, it's unable to just mine effectively in the first few turns, first 100 turns. That's why it's losing. Let's see if it try to learn later on how to mine effectively. Okay, it looks like it's learning how to mine effectively here. Let's see if there's a case where there's too many ships inside. Okay, this one is okay, so this one is pretty close already, so it's pretty close. Okay. Okay, let's see more. Yeah. So now it's learning how to mine effectively, right? So that now that the mining is pretty much taken care of. Oh, except for this one. This one is not not yet learned. Okay, I guess it's trying to learn for each value, which is the problem with encoding values in a continuous scalar. It's gonna take a while to learn the exact number. So it's gonna take a while to learn all the different numbers. It's even trying to build a shipyard here, which is pretty bad move. Somehow it worked out. Yes, it's fine. No, maybe not. Yeah, it's too early to build a shipyard. Right? It must be too early, right? Because if you look at here, we're actually losing the ship count. So yeah, it's very hard to come back after you build shipyard so early. All right, I think it's already learned when to build, when to mine, pretty much. So I think it should see a increase in performance, hopefully. Oh no, here it's not. It's trying to build ship with 9 cores. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely need to take care of these special edge cases. And when can we build ship? You need 10 cores to build ship, not 9. I guess it's like really hard to figure out, 9 and 10, so it's kind of stuck here. Which is interesting, I guess. I mean, that's how it's learning, right? It's still learning like the difference between 9 and 10. We could have just, helped it a little bit, but I guess it's okay that it's to let it figure out by its own. Interesting. Okay, I think overall it's training it's getting some good progress. The problems I'm seeing is kind of expected at this stage when it's very early. Okay. So this is actually going according to our plan. 197. There's some minor issues I want to fix, like the encoding, but I think I'll fix it tomorrow or something. I think this is pretty good progress for today, right? 194 is actually our new baseline. 195, 196 is for debugging or it didn't work. I think 197 we'll figure out tomorrow if it's good, right? All right, I think that's all for today's stream. Hopefully, this is good and we get something better tomorrow. Hopefully something that is good enough to submit because all these are kind of pretty bad still, I would say. It's not even able to beat the like starter agent, so there's really no point in submitting this to the competition. Speaking of the competition, taking a look at the leaderboard, there are some new people here that is doing pretty well. Yeah, I guess now the top players are mostly rule based or they write in Python or something like that. So we need to like catch up a little bit in terms of the progress, I guess. Yeah, super excited about what we can achieve here. Definitely gonna look out for other ML algorithms like PPO or A2C, which is kind of newer. So yeah, maybe I'll try those when I have free time. I'm not gonna touch the rule-based one because I feel like that's kind of not fun anymore. Like just basically like manually like writing AI, right? It's not very fun. So I think using ML is more fun, a more fun process than writing a rule-based agent. So I think I'm past the time where I want to write a very good rule-based agent. I just want to use ML. And also, I think ML was used in previous competitions to win, so I think probably it's a good idea to use ML. All right, so that's all for today's stream, and I will see you tomorrow.